All right, so what do you do if you're dating a guy and he's been married before and you're really worried about being compared to his ex? And specifically, you're worried about being compared sexually. I'm going to talk about that this week. Stay tuned. All right, this week I received a really great question from a woman in the Single Over 30 community who said she's been dating a super nice guy and she really likes him a lot, that he's been married before, and that she has a fear of being compared with his ex-wife, and specifically being compared with her sexually. So if you have ever struggled with any kind of fears of comparison in this area, I want you to stay with me for just a few minutes, because I'm going to give you 6 tips on how to deal with this insecurity. So the first thing that you want to keep in mind, and that I wish someone would have told me, or that I would have paid attention to before I was married, is that sex takes practice. It's like anything. It's like learning how to play basketball or learning how to cook better. It takes practice. It takes practice not only physically between the two people, because our bodies need to learn how to do it, but also it takes practice in communication, where both people learn how to communicate with each other and let each other know, I like this or I don't like that kind of thing. And that's honestly one of the joys of marriage, is learning how to serve and communicate with the other person. The second thing to keep in mind is that the world has oversold the sizzle of sex. What I mean is, all we see on movies is that you sleep with someone and it's just instantaneous and it's rapturous and you just know how to do it. And so they've oversold the sizzle. Now, the problem is that if we buy into this belief about sizzle, is that it's going to make us feel really insecure, because lots of times it's not like that, right? It's awkward, it's uncomfortable, and it takes practice and it takes time. So just remember that it takes practice, and that the sizzle isn't something that may automatically show up between two people. It may or may not. The third thing to keep in mind is that the essence or the core of a great marriage isn't sex. So sex is a physical thing. It has to do with your body, and it's not that it's not important. It's a really important thing in marriage, but it's a physical thing, and there are soulish things and spirit things in a marriage. For example, your mind, your will, and your emotion, and the spiritual aspect of you. And the things that I just mentioned that aren't physical, those things take up a whole lot more time in your marriage than sex will. In speaking with my husband, because he was married before, I asked him what he likes most about being married. Now, when he was younger, he may have said that sex was a whole lot more important, but he said as he's gotten older, what's most important to him is to have a companion and to have someone who cares for him and who looks out for him. And I feel the same way too. So the essence of a really strong marriage is friendship, and that friendship will carry you through any kind of communication that you need to have around the whole issue of sex or performance in marriage. So if you marry a guy who really cares about you, he's mature, he's been married before, and he's kind and sensitive to this, he'll understand any kind of insecurities that you might have. The next thing that you want to recognize, the fourth thing, is that he may have had sex, but he didn't have it with you. And so every person is different. And so he will recognize this, obviously, that it's different and it's not the same. And again, it comes down to communicating and respecting each other and that kind of thing. Fifthly, I want to encourage the person who sent in this question, and you who are watching, that whatever you focus on expands. So if you start telling yourself that you're not performing very well, or that you're worried about being compared to the ex-wife and that kind of thing, and you focus on that, it's going to expand in your mind. And then you may start putting your insecurities on the person that you're married to. And you don't want to do that, because that may not even be how he feels. So try not to focus on that. It's really as big of a deal as you want to make it. And lastly, I just want to encourage you again, number 6, that if you marry a guy who really loves you and cares for you, that he will understand these insecurities. I hope these 6 things have helped. If you are not subscribed to this channel, go go ahead and click subscribe, and then you'll be notified whenever a new video is released. And if you want to hear more from me, go ahead and head on over to singleover30.net and sign up to receive emails from me. And every week you'll get emails, you'll hear about courses and other things that I have available for single women who want to learn how to attract a marriage-minded man. All right, thanks, and I'll see you next time.